Today we're taking a closer look at Chromperfect Unite, a tool built for one very specific, very common laboratory problem. What do you do when your chromatography data doesn't all come from the same system? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what Unite does, what it doesn't do, and whether it's the right fit for your laboratory. Here's a scenario most laboratory managers will recognize. A project folder contains current Chromperfect files, some archived results, a batch of Agilent ChemStation or OpenLAB data, and maybe something from a third system entirely. Each of those may use a different file format. Some may need software that's barely supported anymore, and reporting styles rarely match. Even when the underlying data is completely valid, reviewing it becomes inefficient simply because you're constantly switching between separate applications. What is Chromperfect Unite? So, what exactly is Chromperfect Unite? In simple terms, it's a way to bring supported chromatography data files from other sources into the Chromperfect environment so they can be reviewed, integrated, and reported using the same familiar Chromperfect tools. It's important to understand what it is not. It doesn't replace every function of the original third-party software. Instead, it gives you one consistent interface for historical archives, customer-supplied data, method transfer projects, and any situation where you want to standardize the review of chromatography data from several sources. Two paths into Chromperfect Unite. Compatibility comes down to two paths. If your data comes from Agilent ChemStation or OpenLAB, Chromperfect Unite can read the native .ch files directly, no conversion needed. For nearly every other third-party chromatography data system, such as Chromeleon or another vendor platform, the source software needs to export the chromatogram as AIA or NetCDF using the .cdf extension before Unite can bring it in. This is one of the most important things to check before starting a project. Don't just note which system produced the data. Confirm the actual file format you can supply. How Chromperfect Unite works. So, how does this actually work day to day? A central part of the workflow is the Chromperfect Sentry Service. It watches configured directories for incoming chromatography files. When a supported file appears, the Sentry Service picks it up and processes it according to the method assigned to that specific directory. That means different projects, file types, or processing requirements can each have their own dedicated folder and method. Files go in, and processed results, reports, and output files come out automatically. Chromperfect bound files. Once a chromatogram has been integrated and analyzed, the result is saved within the Chromperfect ecosystem, typically as a Chromperfect bound file. That file bundles together the processed chromatogram along with the method, calibration, peak, and reporting information needed to reproduce the result. That's especially valuable for historical or mixed-source project data, because you're not relying on separate method and calibration files that might change or go missing later. The bound file is a complete, dependable snapshot. Escaping the legacy PC trap. One of the most compelling reasons to consider Unite has nothing to do with day-to-day processing at all. It's about risk. Many laboratories are still keeping old PCs alive, running Windows XP or Windows 7, purely because they're the only machines that can open historical chromatography software. That's a serious long-term risk. If that one PC or hard drive fails, years of data could become practically inaccessible. Where the data is available in a supported format, Agilent.ch files, or AIA NetCDF exports, Chromperfect Unite provides a route off that obsolete hardware and onto a current, maintainable Windows 11 platform. Bridging an incumbent system. Sometimes the constraint isn't technical at all, it's organizational. Corporate IT or a central validation group may have already chosen the chromatography data system, and a local lab manager simply doesn't have the authority to replace it, even if the review and reporting tools leave something to be desired. Chromperfect Unite offers a practical bridge here. The incumbent system keeps doing what it's approved to do, acquisition, while supported files are brought into Chromperfect Unite for review, integration, and reporting. Nothing about the enterprise acquisition decision has to change. What Chromperfect Unite is not. Now, some important expectations to set. Chromperfect Unite is not a universal reader, editor, or converter for every chromatography format. Compatibility follows the two paths we covered earlier. It also does not provide a round trip back into the original vendor's software. Once data is processed in Chromperfect, it's saved in Chromperfect's own format, not back into ChemStation, OpenLAB, or Chromeleon. And finally, Unite follows the same scope as Chromperfect itself, conventional chromatography data review. It does not add support for mass spec detector output or multidimensional HPLC workflows. When Chromperfect Unite makes sense. Pulling this together, who is Chromperfect Unite actually good for? It's a strong fit for historical data review, multi-site data consolidation, method transfer projects, customer-supplied project data, ChemStation or OpenLAB archive review, and generally any situation where a third-party system can export to AIA or NetCDF. If you already know Chromperfect and want to avoid maintaining several legacy systems just to look at old chromatograms, this is exactly the kind of problem Unite was built to solve. Before you reach out, if you're considering Chromperfect Unite for your lab, a little preparation goes a long way. Before you reach out, gather the source of your files and their extensions. Which chromatography data system created them? Whether that system can export AIA or NetCDF, whether your need is review, reprocessing, reporting, or consolidation, and roughly how many files and users are involved. A clear enquiry, like describing your existing Chromperfect files alongside ChemStation.ch files and asking whether they can be reviewed together, helps the team confirm the right route quickly, and, if you can supply sample files, even better. Chromperfect Unite exists to solve one clear problem: bringing supported chromatography data from multiple sources into a single, dependable Chromperfect workflow. For ChemStation and OpenLAB data, that means reading .ch files directly. For most other systems, it's the AIA NetCDF export route. Either way, you get one place to review, integrate, and report, without maintaining every legacy system and without betting your data archive on an aging PC. To find out if Unite is the right fit for your laboratory, visit Chromperfect.com and get in touch with the team. Thanks for watching.